Imagine standing where the fate of civilizations is decided, where strategy, courage, and luck collide to shape the world. These moments aren't always grand. Sometimes history pivots on a mistake, a rumor, or a sudden rainstorm. It's the chaos and unpredictability that often determine who becomes a hero and who is forgotten. Today we're diving into 5 battles that didn't just change borders, they changed the very course of history. Let's jump in. 490 BC, Marathon. As the first rays of sunlight break over the ancient plain, a sense of anticipation hangs in the air. This quiet landscape is about to become the stage for one of history's most pivotal moments, a clash that will shape the future of civilization. The mighty Persian Empire, stretching from the Indus Valley to the Mediterranean, lands its forces on Greek soil. Their mission is clear: to punish Athens for daring to support a rebellion against Persian rule, and to send a message to all who would defy their power. If Athens falls, the fragile experiment of democracy, still in its infancy, could be snuffed out before it truly begins. The fate of free government hangs in the balance, and the world watches, unknowingly, as history teeters on a knife's edge. The Athenians, outnumbered nearly 3-1 and riven by debate, face an agonizing decision. Should they wait for reinforcements from their allies, risking a siege and destruction, or take the fight to the Persians now, gambling everything on a single, desperate battle? Miltiades, a seasoned general and veteran of Persian campaigns, steps forward. He argues for immediate action, urging his fellow citizens to seize the initiative. His words ignite a spark of courage. He knows that hesitation could mean the end of Athens itself. The Athenians, ordinary citizens transformed into soldiers, form up in a thin line across the plain. Facing them is the vast Persian host, their numbers and reputation intimidating, their archers ready to unleash death from afar. Miltiades devises a daring plan. He deliberately weakens his center, reinforcing the flanks, hoping to lure the Persians in. It's a gamble that relies on discipline, timing, and the courage of every man on the field. With a shout, the Greeks charge, sprinting across the open ground. Arrows darken the sky, but the hoplites press on, shields raised, closing the distance before the Persians can reload. The Persians, confident in their numbers, push through the weakened Greek center. But suddenly, the strengthened Greek wings swing inward, trapping the invaders in a deadly embrace. The Persians are surrounded, their lines collapsing in chaos. Panic erupts among the Persians. Soldiers break ranks, fleeing desperately toward their ships. The once invincible army is routed, suffering catastrophic losses as they scramble to escape. The cost for Athens is heavy. 192 citizens fall, their sacrifice forever remembered. But the Persians leave thousands of their own dead behind, a testament to the ferocity and determination of the defenders. Yet the danger is not over. The Persian fleet still lurks offshore, threatening to sail around and strike Athens undefended. The city holds its breath, uncertain if the nightmare is truly over. In a final act of heroism, the messenger Pheidippides sprints the 26 miles to Athens, bearing news of victory. Exhausted, he delivers his message: "We have won," before collapsing, his run immortalized as the first marathon. The city erupts in celebration. For the first time, free citizens have stood together and defeated a mighty empire. The victory at Marathon becomes a symbol of what ordinary people, united by a common cause, can achieve. Emboldened by their triumph, Athens enters a new era. The Golden Age dawns. Philosophy, art, science, and democracy flourish as never before. The world's first great experiment in self-government takes root and grows. Without the courage shown at Marathon, democracy might have perished in its cradle. The very foundations of Western civilization, freedom, debate, and the rule of law, owe their survival to this day. The lesson of Marathon endures. A small group, fighting not for conquest but for an idea, can alter the course of history. Their bravery echoes through the ages, inspiring generations to come. Marathon was more than a military victory. It was the birth of a new world, where the voice of the people could shape destiny, and the dream of democracy could begin its long journey across the centuries. 1066, a year that would become etched into the very fabric of English history, a turning point that would ripple through the centuries. England is plunged into chaos after the death of King Edward the Confessor, who leaves no heir to the throne. The land is restless, uncertain, and vulnerable, as rival factions and foreign powers eye the crown. Harold Godwinson, a powerful English noble, is hastily crowned king, but his claim is immediately challenged. Two formidable rivals emerge: Harold Hardrada, the fierce Viking king of Norway, and William, the ambitious Duke of Normandy. Each believes the English throne is rightfully theirs, setting the stage for a dramatic struggle. Harold rushes north and defeats the Vikings at the bloody Battle of Stamford Bridge, ending Hardrada's invasion. But even as his men celebrate, news arrives. William has landed in the south with a powerful Norman army, ready to stake his claim. With barely time to rest, Harold's weary army marches the length of England, pushing themselves to the brink of exhaustion. They know another, even greater battle awaits. On the hills near Hastings, the English form a formidable shield wall, a living fortress of men and steel. The Normans attack again and again, but the English hold firm, repelling wave after wave. Suddenly, a rumor sweeps the battlefield: William has fallen. Panic spreads among the Normans, and some begin to flee. Sensing victory, English soldiers break ranks to pursue the retreating enemy, abandoning their defensive line. But William is very much alive. He reveals himself, rallies his troops, and leads a devastating counterattack against the scattered English, turning the tide of battle. The Normans employ cunning tactics, feigning retreat to lure more English soldiers away from the safety of the shield wall. One by one, the English are drawn out and cut down. As dusk falls, the shield wall finally buckles. In the chaos, King Harold is struck down, some say by an arrow to the eye, others by Norman swords. His death marks the end of Anglo-Saxon resistance. The English line collapses. The once mighty Anglo-Saxon army is routed, and William stands victorious on the field of Hastings. William is crowned king in Westminster Abbey. The old Anglo-Saxon elite are swept aside, replaced by Norman lords, loyal to their new ruler. A new order begins. The Norman conquest transforms every aspect of English life. The language absorbs thousands of French words. The laws and customs are rewritten, and a new culture emerges. One that blends the traditions of both conqueror and conquered. Towering stone castles rise across the land, symbols of Norman power. Feudalism takes root, binding lords and peasants in a new social order. England's gaze shifts from its old insular ways to the wider world of continental Europe. The Battle of Hastings is more than just a change of king. It is the birth of a new England, an event that reshapes the nation's destiny and identity forever. Even today, the echoes of that fateful day in 1066 can be felt. The castles, the language, the very laws of the land, all bear the mark of the Norman conquest, a legacy that continues to shape England centuries later. The year is 1415. On the rain-soaked fields of Agincourt, Henry IV's English army finds itself in dire straits. Weary, sick, and desperately low on supplies, these men are far from home, deep in hostile French territory. Outnumbered by more than 2 to 1, their situation seems hopeless. The English soldiers, many suffering from dysentery and exhaustion, trudge through the mud, their spirits tested by hunger and the relentless autumn rain. Blocking their only route to safety, the French army stands ready. Confident and well-rested, the French commanders believe victory is certain. Their knights, resplendent in shining armor, form an imposing wall across the muddy road, eager to crush the invaders and end the English threat, once and for all. The battlefield itself is a narrow, muddy strip of land hemmed in by thick woods. Recent rains have turned the ground into a quagmire, making movement difficult for man and horse alike. For the English, this terrain is a blessing in disguise, perfect for defense, and disastrous for a massed cavalry charge. Henry V, a shrewd and determined leader, arranges his men-at-arms in the center, with ranks of long bowmen on the flanks. To protect his archers from cavalry, he orders sharpened wooden stakes driven into the ground, creating a deadly barrier. The English prepare to make their stand, trusting in discipline and the power of their longbows. As the French advance, the English move within bowshot and unleash a relentless storm of arrows. Thousands of shafts whistle through the misty air, darkening the sky and raining death upon the enemy ranks. The longbowmen, trained from childhood, fire with deadly speed and accuracy. The French knights, weighed down by heavy armor, charge forward on horseback. But the mud is deep and treacherous. Horses slip and stumble, arrows pierce armor and flesh, and the charge loses momentum before it can even reach the English lines. Chaos erupts as horses fall, and formations break apart in the mire. The once proud French cavalry is thrown into confusion, their advance slowed to a crawl. Panic spreads as men struggle to keep their footing and maintain order. The main French force, now forced to advance on foot and burdened by heavy armor, struggles through the sucking mud. Exhausted and exposed, they are cut down by arrows at close range. The English archers, now firing almost point blank, show no mercy. A handful of survivors finally reach the English line, but they are spent and disorganized. In brutal hand-to-hand combat, the English men-at-arms and archers overwhelm the exhausted French, fighting with swords, axes, and whatever weapons they can find. The French are slaughtered in the crush, their superior numbers working against them in the narrow, muddy killing ground. Bodies pile up, armor and banners trampled into the earth, as the field becomes a scene of utter devastation. When the fighting ends, English losses are astonishingly light, while the French nobility is decimated. Hundreds of French lords and knights lie dead or captured, their dreams of glory shattered in the mud. The victory at Agincourt becomes a symbol of the underdog's triumph, a testament to discipline, leadership, and the deadly effectiveness of the English longbowmen. The legend of the longbow is born, inspiring awe and fear across Europe. Though the battle does not end the war, it cripples French leadership and morale for years to come. For England, Agincourt is more than a victory. It is a story of courage and resilience that will inspire generations to come. 1815, Napoleon returns from exile, raising an army to reclaim Europe, his only hope to defeat the Allies before they unite. Near Waterloo, Wellington's army holds a ridge, with strong points at Hougoumont and La Haye-Sainte. A torrential storm delays Napoleon's attack, giving the Prussians time to regroup. The battle begins with a French assault on Hougoumont, drawing in troops. The main French attack hits Wellington's center left but is repelled by disciplined British fire. La Haye-Sainte falls, opening a gap in the Allied line. Napoleon orders massive cavalry charges, but British infantry forms squares, repelling every assault. As evening falls, Prussian reinforcements arrive, threatening Napoleon's flank. In desperation, Napoleon sends his elite Imperial Guard for a final assault. Wellington's hidden troops rise and fire at point-blank range, breaking the guard. The French army collapses in panic. Napoleon's reign ends. Waterloo marks the end of the Napoleonic Wars and the dawn of a new European order. 1942, Stalingrad. Hitler's army pushes into the Soviet Union, aiming for oil fields. Stalingrad becomes the focus, a city bombed to rubble, perfect for defense. Soviet General Chuikov's troops fight block by block, turning ruins into fortresses. The Germans, masters of blitzkrieg, are trapped in brutal urban warfare. The battle becomes a meat grinder, every building is a battleground. By November, Germans control most of the city, but their flanks are weak. The Soviets launch Operation Uranus, encircling the entire Sixth Army. Hitler forbids retreat, promising supplies by air, a promise that fails. Starvation, cold, and disease ravage the trapped Germans. Soviet forces tighten the noose, relief attempts fail. In January 1943, Field Marshal Paulus surrenders. Of 300,000 trapped, only 91,000 surrender, and few survive captivity. Stalingrad shatters the myth of German invincibility and marks the turning point on the Eastern Front. From Marathon to Stalingrad, these battles shaped civilizations and ideas. They remind us that history turns on choices, bold, desperate, or mistaken. The world we know is built on the outcomes of these fields. By studying them, we understand not just the past, but ourselves. If you enjoyed this, subscribe and tell us which battle you want to see next. Thanks for watching.